Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning, walking to the kitchen to make a coffee, and checking your phone. Sitting in your account is a dividend payment that just covered your mortgage. You didn't work for it, and you didn't trade hours for it. Your money did the heavy lifting while you slept. That is what financial freedom in Australia looks like, and it isn't reserved for tech founders. It is simply a math problem. Once you know your target number, the entire game changes. Most Australians are stuck in a relentless cycle. You earn, you spend, you pay tax, you survive, and then you do it all over again next fortnight. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the average full-time worker in Australia pulls in around $100,000 a year before tax. It sounds healthy, but after paying rent or mortgage, income tax, and groceries that cost twice what they did 3 years ago, most people wonder where it all went. The problem isn't your income. The problem is that your income stops the moment you stop working. To escape this trap, experienced investors use a framework called the safe withdrawal rate, famously known as the 4% rule. This rule states that you can comfortably pull 4% of your total investment portfolio each year, and the capital should last 30 years or longer, based on historical market returns. The formula is straightforward. Take the annual income you want to replace and divide it by 0.04. Let's look at the numbers based on real Australian salaries to see where you sit. If you want to replace a $60,000 salary, which leaves you with about $51,000 after tax, your target investment number is $1.275 million. Moving up, if you want to replace an $80,000 salary, which yields $65,000 take-home, you need $1.625 million invested. For the average Australian full-time salary of $100,000, the take-home pay is roughly $76,500. Replacing this requires a portfolio of $1.91 million. When people hear a number close to $2 million, they immediately switch off and assume it's impossible. But here's the reality check. Your superannuation is already part of this calculation. If you're 35 years old earning an average salary, your mandatory super contributions alone, compounding at historical market returns, can easily provide well over $1 million by the time you reach 60. If you're a higher earner, the numbers scale up. Replacing a $150,000 salary requires $2.675 million. A $200,000 salary requires $3.425 million, and a massive $250,000 income requires roughly $4.1 million invested. These numbers sound intimidating, but here's the secret that shifts the entire equation. You do not actually need to replace your full salary. You only need to replace your lifestyle. There's a massive difference between the two. When you stop working, you instantly eliminate the costs of commuting, work wardrobes, weekday lunches, and expensive convenience foods. You also stop making super contributions because you're actively living off your assets. Furthermore, your tax bill drops dramatically. Investment income, especially from fully franked Australian dividends, is taxed much more favorably than wage income. Because of this, your true freedom number might be 30 to 40% lower than your salary target. For example, if you earn $100,000 now, but your actual annual lifestyle costs $60,000, your real freedom number drops to $1.5 million instead of nearly $2 million. That $400,000 difference represents years of your life that you do not have to spend chained to a desk. Building this wealth down under comes down to consistency. Successful investors maximize salary sacrifice into super up to the concessional cap, dollar cost average into low-cost index ETFs outside of super for pre-retirement access, and clear high-interest debt. Australia's franking credit system also gives retirees a massive advantage, effectively boosting the yield on local shares to 5 or 6% when tax credits are refunded. Tonight, pull up your bank statements, calculate your true annual living expenses, and divide that number by 0.04. Write that figure down. The moment you have a specific target, your brain stops viewing money as something to spend and starts seeing it as ammunition for your freedom.